Series. How are you feeling, Astros fans? Are we all still sad and depressed? We still made it to the World Series. We're still one of 28. There's 20 other teams that did not make it to this point. The Astros just fell short. You only hit 2 home runs in a World Series. How do you expect to win when you only hit 2 home runs in a World Series? So the Astros they got cold with the bats at the wrong time. And we'll talk about this and more on tonight's Locked On Astros podcast.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. Find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Astros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett is taking night off. He covered for me last night, and he's got some late practice with his son. So I told him he can go and take the night off. And so we'll be back tomorrow we'll team up tomorrow. So we'll definitely cover this offseason, guys. We are not going away. We are not ashamed of this team. This team really fought all season, and unfortunately, they just fell short. The Braves were they may not have been a better team, but they steamrolled some good teams to get through. They went through the Dodgers. I believe they went through the Brewers. They faced some good teams, and they beat the Astros fair and square. Their pitching was better than the Astros. So, unfortunately, it was just a situation where they just pitched the Astros better, and the Astros pitching, they can only hold off so long without scoring runs, and that's the situation we have here. And so we all went to that. Those of y'all who went to that game yesterday, I don't know if y'all were there yesterday, and I don't know if it was like that for games 1 and 2. But there was a lot of Braves fans there, and they're all trying to do the tomahawk chop, and they're all trying to do that. And we are all the Astros fans, when they're trying to do we're all doing a boo, just try to get them to stop. And there's this guy right next to me that would do this whistle though every time they hit a home run. And there was a lot of Braves fan there. There's that we were sitting in nosebleeds. Me and my girlfriend were sitting in nosebleeds, and there's a Braves couple that sit in front of us, and they said they paid $2,000 for their seats right in front of us. $2,000, but they were able to witness their team win the World Series. I think they were from Oklahoma, and so they drove down from Oklahoma just to watch their Braves win the World Series. And so but guys, I wanted to just take a moment to say thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, make sure you keep on subscribing, make sure you keep on giving us some likes, and keep on listening to the audio version in your car. We try to keep it between 20 and 30 minutes. Sometimes it goes a little bit longer, but listen to it on Odyssey, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. Keep on listening to Locked On Astros podcast. And so I don't really want to dwell too much on that game. Yeah, we can blame Luis Garcia. We can blame Christian Javier. We can blame Stanek. We can blame everybody that gave up the home runs. But at the same time, the offense scored 0 runs. 0 runs. I mean, you can't win a World Series game if you don't score any runs. And so eventually you would have to score a run. And so unfortunately, it just basically, I don't know what to say about that situation. I mean, now I know how the Dodgers felt in 2017, where they were shut out. So how they felt in Game 7, where the Astros took care of business. But it feels so bad. And well, I know we felt like that in Game 7 of the 2019 World Series as well. But it just sucks. It sucks to be there. And when that home run, when Soler's home run left the ballpark, I mean, I literally saw it. I was like, and I saw it leave the ballpark because I was in the nosebleed seats in section 407 and so row 22, so I could literally see those seats go out, the shot go out. But yeah, so I don't want to talk too much about that game. I'm sure Brett covered that in last night's podcast. We will cover some of those aspects, but I do want to talk a lot about some of the news from today. 160 players filed for free agency today. Among them were some Astros players. Some of them are not surprised. Carlos Correa. We'll talk a lot about Carlos Correa today. Yimi Garcia, Marwin Gonzalez, Kendall Graveman, Zach Greinke, Brooks Raley, and Justin Verlander. Oh, Justin Verlander, please don't leave Justin Verlander. But we signed him for that 2-year extension, and he pitched how many games? Wasn't it just one game? Unfortunately, that situation is there. So I know a lot of y'all want me to talk about Carlos Correa. We'll talk about Carlos Correa in a second. But yeah, so Yimi Garcia, I would love to have him back, but he's not my primary focus. Marwin Gonzalez, whatever. Kendall Graveman, I would love to sign Kendall Graveman back, but I want to start the show with something from Bob Nightingale. And he's normally not somebody I would lead off the show with, but Bob Nightingale put out a tweet earlier, and he said 3 points of Astros news. He said esteemed pitching coach Brent Strom will retire. Number 2, Zach Greinke will leave, but the Astros, but wants to continue pitching for an NL team. That's interesting. And 3, Dusty Baker will be back and will sign a contract for 2022 in the next 48 hours. So that means that Zach Greinke is basically, he wants to hit. This dude thinks he's Babe Ruth, so he wants to go back to NL and go work on his batting average. So I don't think Zach Greinke's back. Justin Verlander, who knows if he's going to be back? I mean, if that was true that he was supposed to throw out a first pitch and the Astros players like, nah, we're good. What does that mean to that? So we'll see what the whole situation happens there. Brooks Raley, how many of y'all really want to sign Brooks Raley? Y'all can put in chat, all y'all that want to re-sign Brooks Raley. I'll be waiting for y'all. But the person everybody wants to talk about is Carlos Correa, and Carlos Correa is the man an hour. I think everybody is focusing on him, and I know after the game, he was asked about what it was like in that situation, possibly having his last at bat at Minute Maid Park as an Astro. And he said, it was one of the things going through my mind, to be honest. A lot of feelings, mixed emotions. I spent 7 years with this club. Yeah, it was going through my mind for sure. And so basically what he's saying is that he did all he can do to make this club better. This organization to keep training in the right way. I'm proud of my time to be here. He said he's been here for 7 years. He wasn't only priding himself on being a great shortstop, a great hitter, but he was a team leader. He was the guy that would go out there and help Framber Valdez try to get under control, get under right mindset. He would always go out to the pitcher's mound, whether he's welcomed or not. He was always that guy that kind of became a team leader. I mean, Jose Altuve is kind of the de facto team leader, but he's kind of I don't know what he's like in the clubhouse, but he seems like a little quiet, maybe a quiet guy. But Carlos Correa is kind of the guy that's in your face, the guy that's going to kind of come out and just say, hey, no, we got to do this better. And so a lot of people really want Carlos Correa to come back. And so when he asked about this, he said, he said he wants to thank James Click and Jim Crane for abiding by his wishes. He said, I asked them to not approach me this during the during the regular season. He said, I wanted to wait to talk about free agent during the offseason, and they did. And so he appreciates them. And so basically, Carlos Correa is now a free agent, and I know Jose Altuve says that his hopes are still high that the Astros are able to retain him. Does that mean anything? I mean, you can think that if Carlos Correa, Correa says that Altuve will always be his brother. So you have to say that Altuve probably knows what Correa is wanting to do. So does that mean that Altuve knows how much money Correa wants and how much he'll settle for? I don't know. But you have to know that he kind of has an idea what's going on. But at the same time, Correa knows that this is the best time for him to cash in because he played all season. Yes, he didn't have a great World Series in the World Series. Well, I guess in World Series, he didn't do terrible. He batted 261 with the 624 OPS. And that's not great. He had 4 RBIs, 1 double, 6 hits, 1 run. So it's not anything to write home about. I mean, he did better than Altuve, even though Altuve had 2 home runs. But none of the Astros hitters really had a great World Series. The only one that really batted well was Michael Brantley, batted 333. Yuli Gurriel batted 273 with a 606 OPS. But the Astros just struggled during the World Series altogether. So it just basically we'll talk some more about Carlos Correa in a second. It just really stinks, and it makes you wonder what betonline.ag. I mean, you have to wonder if they have kind of a bet line on if Carlos Correa will sign with the Astros. Will he sign with the Yankees? I don't even want to think about that. But betonline.ag is back and better than ever. New web interface for the start of the basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all basketball and football action this season. Head to our new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus for your first deposit. Just use our promo code Locked On to receive your bonus. From basketball, football, baseball, postseason, which just ended, NHL, boxing, and UFC rights to your favorite Vegas casino game. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is your fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. So let's thank you. I just want to kind of tell y'all once again, thank you for making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. And just keep on subscribing to us on YouTube. And thank you for listening to us on Odyssey, Apple, wherever you listen to your podcast. So also Correa said that it was very tough, very emotional. It's not where you want to end the season to get this far to accomplish pretty much nothing because second place is not good enough for us. But at the same time, I'm proud of this team. The hard work since spring training, we set our goal to get here. We just fell 2 games short. So what do y'all think is going to happen here? If Correa goes, who do you think the Astros go after? I don't think that nothing gets Alex Bregman, but he's already been dealing with a lot of these injuries. They're not going to put him at shortstop. So, I mean, I know we have Jeremy Pena and then you have Pedro Leon who could possibly play shortstop. But are you really going to start the 2022 season with a rookie shortstop after Carlos Correa? So Jeremy, like Jordan says, Jeremy Pena, Andrelton Simmons is another one. Simeon could be one, but I think that he's probably going to sign with no. Stop, AJ. We're not going to bring up Robel Garcia. He's not a everyday player. Don't even play that. So some guy that I think the Astros might be going to look at is maybe Trevor Story. He's a guy that a lot of teams may be kind of hesitant to look at because how will he play outside of Coors Field? So, but I don't think Javier Baez is somebody I want to go look at. And there's some other shortstops out there, but I think Carlos Correa is definitely the cream of the crop. And I think that he is a free agent at the right time because he is the top shortstop, I think, in this situation. So I think that he is geared up to make the big bucks. I know I've also seen some people say put Yuli at third base and then have Bregman play shortstop and then have somebody else play first base. Yeah, but still, Bregman has been dealing with injuries all season. Why would you put him at shortstop where he'll have to be diving around a lot more and just having to show a lot more range? Yes, he played shortstop in college, and I'm not saying he can't, but why risk more injury by doing that? So Yuli is a great first base, so I guess yeah. I think Jordan could be more of a first baseman at the same time, but he hasn't shown that. We haven't even seen him at first base. So before we anoint him the next first baseman, you've got to do that. And like Diego says, Yuli is 37 years old. So you're not going to just say, hey, Yuli, you want to go play third base every day? I mean, he can play third base. I'm not saying he can't, but you're not going to just designate him the thing. So I know that Bregman said that he was hampered in the World Series, especially after getting hit by that pitch. So he's going to spend this offseason trying to get back to where he was. But unfortunately, is that the reason why he struggled? No. It just blows my mind how this could be one of the best offenses the Astros can have, even without George Springer. And then in the World Series, it just goes away. So I have stats here. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Then we'll do some thoughts by Dusty's. But Astros homers by round in the ALDS, they had 4 home runs. In the ALCS, they had 9 home runs. In the World Series, they had 2 home runs. That just blows my mind. I knew that they were struggling, but I didn't even realize that they weren't homering, and that shows how they're struggling. And a lot of that we can credit the Braves pitching. The Braves kept them in the park, and as we saw in Game 6 of the World Series, the Astros pitching did not, and that was the biggest difference in the series. Is that the Astros and I believe that 72% of the Braves runs were scored on home runs. And that's a scary thought to think that I think it was like 18 out of 27 runs or something like that were scored on home runs. And a lot of that had to do with Framber Valdez. I know he gave up a lot of the grand slams, and there's just a lot of the issues, but at the same time, it just bad luck. Like the Braves just found a way to capitalize it. And I'm not saying the Braves were not good, but they were at the hot team. And sometimes it's just those situations where the hot teams just kind of steamroll their way through the playoffs. And that's what happened here. They have a lot of rookies and just a lot of situations like that. So I know some people were Asteroid Craig is talking about Chris Bryant. Yes, Chris Bryant, but how much would it cost you? I mean, if you're going to throw money at Chris Bryant, why don't you just throw money at, I know that Chris Bryant is a little bit older, but you might as well just throw money at Carlos Correa. I know you wouldn't have to give up the same amount of years as you would Carlos Correa, but Chris Bryant is still going to want some money. So that's that same thing. But so I know Freddie Nova is going to be the Astros shortstop of the future. So, but the good thing about somebody like Trevor Story is you can technically move him around. You can even Freddie's Nova, you can move him around because Bregman's not signed forever as well. Altuve is not signed forever. So you can always move those guys around. So Nova could also be a center fielder at some point. So, so there's so many different avenues the Astros have to go this offseason. And this is going to be an interesting offseason because there's not that many holes in the lineup. There's really not that many holes in the lineup. No, I think the gaming rhino says, no, sorry, wrong one. Jose Lara says, let's get a good offensive catcher too. I think they are set at catcher. They have Jason Castro and Martin Maldonado next year. They're not going to get a catcher. They're set at every position. I know they struggled in the World Series, but this is a pretty dynamic lineup. The only hole they have in this lineup right now is at shortstop. And it's depending on what they decide to do with this guy right here. What are they going to do with Carlos Correa? Are they going to pay this guy this money? But if they do Carlos Correa, then what are they going to do with their pitching rotation? Because they are losing Zach Greinke. Well, Justin Verlander hasn't pitched basically in 2 years. So I know Lance McCullers will be coming back next year. We've seen that Framber Valdez is good for 1 out of 4 starts in the playoffs. Luis Garcia is good for 1 out of 3 starts in the playoffs. Jose Urquidy is pretty good in playoffs, but he's good for 1 out of every 2 starts in the playoffs. So you definitely need to go out and get that top of the rotation starter, but they don't grow on trees. I mean, you're going to have to spend some money to go do that. You don't have the prospect talent pool to go out and make a trade for that. So you're going to have to go scout the free agent market or get some starters. So I know Lance McCullers is the Astros ace. I know Framber Valdez is a good number 2. Then you have Garcia and Urquidy, but you've got to get a good number 2 who's a good quality guy. I'm just throwing a name out there. I don't know who's a free agent. I haven't looked up the details yet, but somebody with postseason experience, just somebody. I'm just throwing a name out there. I don't even know if he's a free agent, but somebody like a Clayton. No, not even. No, I'm not going to even throw a name out there. I don't know who's a free agent yet, so I'm not going to even do that yet. But just somebody with a lot of postseason experience yet, and just go get that big time starter, because without Verlander, you're missing that. That's what the Astros are missing this year without Verlander. You're missing that guy. And Zach Greinke, unfortunately, he had COVID, and he wasn't the same Zach Greinke. We saw it in that one game in the World Series where he came in and pretty much dominated for that. Max Scherzer, you can possibly go get, but I don't think he's going to come play for the Astros. So Robbie Ray would be a good name. Yes, I'm going to say Kershaw, but no, I don't think Kershaw would ever come play for the Astros. So, no, I'm not going to future Astros ace. But I know there's 160. No, I'm not going to be a pitcher, but Chris Bassett is a guy that the Astros could go after too as well. So there's 160 free agents out there, but you know who's not going to be the Astros pitching coach next year? It's going to be Brent Strom. And Brent Strom will not be returning as the Astros pitching coach. He said, I may just go lie on a beach somewhere in Mexico, but I need to enjoy my life for a bit. And he said, he's been in game for a long time. I was out of the game, and Jeff Luhnow brought me back. So it's difficult. We'll see how I feel in a couple of days. There may be an opportunity for me elsewhere. I may look at it. I may just go lie on beach in Mexico. I may just enjoy life a little bit. I haven't had a summer in a long time, so we'll see. I haven't made a final decision yet, but I know I won't be back as a major league pitching coach here. Yeah, I know that for a fact. So basically, he's saying, yeah, it ain't me, but Astros, I need a break from you. So basically, he said that I really think this organization is in really good hands with the 2 young pitching coaches that we have. And I'm sure that I've stayed. There will be good teams coming after these 2 guys. I think this organization deserves these 2 guys, Murphy and Miller, to stay. How they work that out is up to them. So basically, he's saying that he needs to change. So if he doesn't, he just doesn't want to be here anymore. He thinks that the Astros are in good hands. Now, do the Astros trust Murphy and Miller to take over? That's Josh Miller and Bill Murphy to take over to be the pitching coaches. I know that these are guys that have been featured on a lot of the AT&T, what do you call it? The whatever the Julie Morales does, the AT&T Sports something. But they've been featured a lot this offseason. But they've been working with Brent Strom a lot. And so we'll see what happens. And so, but Brent Strom has been a big piece of the Astros' success. He's taken players like Colin McHugh, who have been a scrap from the junk pile, and made them big elite pitchers. Taking people like Charlie Morton and made them elite pitchers. You took somebody who was a good pitcher in Garrett Cole and made them an elite pitcher who, well, I'm sure he used some sticky tack as well, but he took him also and made him become an elite pitcher. So this would be a big loss for the Astros. And the question is also, what about Dusty Baker? I know a lot of Astros fans don't want Dusty Baker. And I know that there's been a lot of reports over the past couple days that Jim Crane has already said, well, I'm going to sit down with Dusty Baker and I'm going to lock him down for 1 or 2 years. But the problem with locking Dusty Baker down for 1 or 2 years is kind of like what Jordan Bartlett has just said. If you do that, what happens to Joe Espada? Joe Espada is not going to wait here forever. Somebody's going to say, hey, Joe Espada is ready to become the manager. So why don't I go ahead and try to get him from Houston Astros? And if the Astros see Joe Espada as the everyday manager, then you need to go ahead and try to get him. But at the same time, the Astros definitely want to they want to give Dusty Baker that chance to get that World Series title, and they feel like there's a chance to do it. And with that, I want to do some thoughts by Dusty. Oh, the sound's not there. I need to figure out how to get the sound back. Oops. But anyway, he said that, yeah, it's tough, but you know something, you got to keep trucking, and that gives you some more incentives next year. It's tough to take now, but this too shall pass. I mean, it really hurts, but it's over. And then he also said, we'll be back. And he also said, I still have some unfinished business. I love these guys over here. And you know what that sounds like? That sounds like a guy coming back. That does not sound like a guy leaving. That's just in my opinion. But also, that just sounds like a guy that thinks that kind of knows that he's coming back. So I think that him and Jim Crane kind of already have a kind of a handshake agreement. Like, okay, I know I'm coming back, even though I don't have a contract. So, so we'll see what happens there. But, so what else does he say? Also, Jose Altuve was asked if he wants Dusty Baker back as his manager. He said, yes, absolutely. Carlos Correa was asked if he wants Dusty Baker back, and he said, yes, I hope Dusty Baker's back. Carlos Correa, if you're not coming back, why do you want Dusty Baker back? That doesn't make any sense. But I don't think Dusty Baker may ruin the World Series for the Astros. I think that just the bats went cold the wrong time. And I just really think that the biggest culprit here was Jordan Alvarez's bat just going cold. And I mean, not just his, but a whole like Bregman and a couple other guys' bats, they just went ice cold. And you can't win if you stop hitting. So, so I don't know. So going back to that free agents, it's too soon. We have all offseason to really talk about free agents. What do they need? They need to stock up the bullpen a little bit. They need to re-sign Kendall Graveman. That's the number one target I think they need to do. If Kendall Graveman liked it here, they need Kendall Graveman to come back. They need to probably get another reliever. They need to replace Rayleigh. If that is Kent Emanuel, if he's recovered by then that's Kent Emanuel. Then I think that they do need to replace shortstop. But I don't see them going out and maybe they try to bring back Yimi Garcia because he did look good at the end. So we'll see what's going on there. But somebody keeps on talking about Kumar Rocker. I'll have to investigate that guy. But just keep in mind that Yuli Gurriel did have a $8 million team option that the Astros are going to pick up because he was the AL batting champ. So they will pick that option up. And Ryan Presley did have a $10 million option that was vested in September. So, and then somebody is asking about the Gaming Rhino is asking about the thoughts of signing Noah Syndergaard. Well, he is kind of risky. He has had a lot of health issues over the years, and how good is he at this stage of his career? I'm not sure. So that's definitely something that Brett and I can kind of discuss over this offseason. That's a good thing about the Locked On Astros podcast is we are all offseason. This is not just, the World Series. We'll see you next season. This is all offseason. And I just, G-Man, I just said about Graveman. I think that Graveman is basically a good target for the Astros to re-sign. He has to re-sign. He has to want to come back, but I think that the Astros will have to do it. Chris Bassett is a guy that's, I think he's stuck up for the Astros. Does that mean that he'll sign with the Astros? I don't know if that's the case, but we'll see. But the Astros power outage is just terrible in the World Series. They got to figure out how to hit better, but it just Dusty Baker also said he hopes it's not the end of the Carlos Correa tenure. He's a professional. He's a real leader. He doesn't give an alibi or any excuses. He just comes out and plays the game the way you're supposed to play. He's a gladiator. He's a warrior, but a gentleman. At the same time, I can tell you how our guys gravitate towards him. I can tell you even how the opposition always seems to show respect for him, especially when they're around second base, win or lose. He doesn't clown. He doesn't showboat. He plays the game the same way that it should be played. That's not showboating. Okay. Sorry. But I think that Correa is, especially what happened after the whole scandal with the Astros, he really showed that he can be a team leader, and he is what the Astros need. So Brett and I will be back. We can talk more about the free agents that the Astros can go after, but I really think that the Astros really need to go look at this situation. Yes, Phil Maton was a beast, especially during the World Series. And there's a lot of heroes in this World Series, but we'll talk some more about this. We'll talk some more about what's to come. And we have all offseason, guys. This is going to be a interesting offseason. And the weird thing is there's not that many holes. This is still a loaded team. They need to try to figure out the shortstop situation, get another starter, get a couple of bullpen pieces, and then this team should be legit again. And the window's not closed yet. Now, Carlos Correa walks, it could be a little scary. Just with his heart, with his passion alone, and what he does defensively. But I mean, at the same time, you're going to handcuff yourself if you have to give him a $300 million contract. How much are you going to handcuff yourself salary-wise? Because the CBA, the luxury tax threshold, from what I understand, is going down to it's going to be going down to I believe 180 million. So you're going to be like lowering yourself. The threshold is going to be going down. So we'll have to consider that. So if you sign Correa, that's a pitcher you can't sign. So that's something the Astros will have to be looking at. But at the same time, if you're going to throw that money at Trevor Story or somebody else, then why not bring back Correa? So anyway, we got all off season. Make sure you keep on making the Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Keep on subscribing to us on YouTube and keep on listening to us on audio, whether that's Spotify, Odyssey, wherever you listen to Locked On Astros podcast. Keep on listening, and we'll be back. No, they're not. The Braves are not going to let Freddie Freeman go. If you think they're going to let Freddie Freeman go, you're crazy. And Freddie Freeman is not going to want to go. He just hit 5 home runs in the World Series, if I'm remembering correctly. So anyway, that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Make sure you check us back out tomorrow, and go Stros next year.